Something that I was thinking about last week, and I wrote this to my Instagram, is one of the hardest things you'll ever do is teach yourself to appreciate failure. And I'll get to why I wrote that down, because it's something that I've been thinking about and a lesson that I've been learning over the last few years. Growing up in school, we're often taught that mistakes and failures are something to avoid at all costs. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And I love that quote because it just reminds me that to move forward, the mistakes that we have to make, the obstacles that we have to overcome are all part of the process. And so while he doesn't directly mention failure, it's just a reminder that, the things that we go through in life are necessary to get to the end result, the end point that we want to be at. And so another line that I really love is, "If someone is able to prove me wrong and show me a mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change." If I am making a mistake, I want to know, but I'm okay with making the mistake if I did not know. And so it's just a reminder that how failures and mistakes are just essential for showing us what we need to change or improve about ourselves. When I first started in business, started trying to build businesses, trying to break out on my own, I failed at more ventures than I can count. And I tried drop shipping, print on demand, and even I created a clothing brand, which honestly that didn't do too bad. But that was like fourth try, fifth try. I tried so many times and they all failed. And so after going through these failures, I realized I needed to pivot. And I had to learn from my mistakes and focus on my weak areas, one of which was marketing, which ultimately led to the career I have today. But going back to focusing and learning from my weak areas, I build these complex websites, I'd build out all these products, I'd do all these designs, and then I'd go to market and I just tripped. I had no idea what to do. And so building business after business, I realized that one of the mistakes that I was making is I wasn't focusing on the marketing enough. It was a mistake that I had to learn from. Over the last 4 years, I've worked with CEOs, successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and I'm really blessed to have worked with all those people. But I've often asked them, what's their opinion on failure? And even not even just asking, but just listening. And their response is always the same or it's similar. Failure is a good teacher. If you're not careful, the failure you try to avoid can become a prison of fear, complacency. People who see failure as a teacher learn the most valuable lessons, and they're the lessons you can't learn by constantly winning. One CEO I worked with had the mantra fail fast. He would often start projects with minimal preparation, just an idea, so he could quickly learn from the mistakes that he made and pivot. So Seneca said, "It is a tough road that leads to the heights of greatness." If you think about it this way, when you win, you know exactly what works, but what happens when it stops working? You need to test, you need to find out what doesn't work so you can discover what does. Most of the lessons that you'll learn from failure may not be applicable to the thing that you're doing now, but down the road, it's a lesson that you can learn from and work with. So think of your most recent failures, big or small. Ask yourself what it taught you. What can it teach you? What did you learn from that failure? And I know this is a short one, but I'll sign off with that and catch you next week.